My name is Thomas Reeves. I'm 99 years old. I was 15 when I hit Guadalcanal, lied about my age to join the Marines, and spent 6 months learning that the jungle kills you just as dead as any bullet. I've closed my eyes every night for 83 years, and I'm still lying in that mud.
Thomas, I'm so glad you're sitting with us today, and the fact that you were just 15, that stays with me. So tell me, what was the jungle like?
Alive, that's the only word. The jungle was alive, and it was not on our side. People think of war as men fighting men. Guadalcanal was men fighting everything. The Japanese, yes, but also the malaria, the dysentery, the heat, the mud, the insects, the rain, the snakes, and the jungle itself, a living, breathing thing that swallowed you whole if you stood still too long. We landed on August 7th, 1942. I'd turned 15 3 months earlier. The landing itself was easy. The Japanese weren't expecting us, and we took the airfield without much of a fight. Some of the boys thought it would be quick. We'll be home by Christmas, someone said. It was the last stupid thing anyone said for 6 months. The Japanese came back, and they kept coming back. At night on Guadalcanal. I need you to understand what that means. The jungle canopy blocks out the stars. You cannot see your hand in front of your face. The darkness is absolute. And in that darkness, everything makes noise. Insects, frogs, birds, things rustling through undergrowth. Your ears become your eyes, and your ears start lying to you. Every sound becomes a Japanese soldier. Every snapping twig is a bayonet charge. You lie in your foxhole, and your heart beats so loud, you're certain the enemy can hear it. The Japanese were masters of night combat. They'd crawl through the jungle for hours, silent, patient, and then attack at 2 or 3 in the morning when your body is at its lowest. They'd come screaming, not words, a sound, a high, sharp sound designed to paralyze you with fear, and it worked. The first time I heard a banzai charge in the dark, I forgot everything they'd taught me. I forgot my training, my rifle, my name. For about 3 seconds, I was 15 years old, and I wanted my mother. Then someone next to me started firing, and the 3 seconds ended, and I became something else. Something that could function in chaos. That switch from boy to whatever I became, it happened in a foxhole on Guadalcanal at 2 in the morning, and I've never fully switched back. The man next to me was a corporal named Dale Hutchins from Tennessee. Dale was 23, ancient by our standards. He'd been in the Marines since before the war. He was the one that kept me alive those first weeks. He taught me things they don't teach in boot camp. How to sleep with one eye open. How to tell the difference between a man moving through brush and an animal. How to control your breathing so fear doesn't take over your body. Dale used to say, "Tommy, the jungle doesn't give a damn about your feelings. Feel scared later. Right now, just breathe and watch." So I breathed and I watched. And I stayed alive because a man from Tennessee told me to. The malaria was as bad as the Japanese. Maybe worse, because you couldn't shoot malaria. Within weeks, half the company was sick. The fever, the shaking, the sweating. You'd be lying in your foxhole shivering so hard your teeth chattered, and you couldn't hold your rifle steady. And then the fever would break and you'd be drenched in sweat and so weak you couldn't stand. And then a Japanese patrol would come and you had to stand anyway. I had malaria 3 times on Guadalcanal. The second time, I was so sick they carried me to the field hospital, which was a tent with a dirt floor and a doctor who looked like he hadn't slept in a month. He gave me quinine tablets and said, "Get back in line when you can walk." That was the extent of the medical care. Get back in line. The food ran out early. The Navy had pulled back after the Battle of Savo Island. The Japanese sank 4 Allied cruisers in one night. And for weeks we had no resupply. We were eating Japanese rice that we'd captured, coconuts from the trees, and whatever we could find. A Marine from Texas caught a crocodile once, and we cooked it. It tasted like rubber. We ate every bite. I lost 40 pounds on Guadalcanal. I arrived weighing 180 and left weighing 140. My uniform hung off me like a flag on a windless day. The battle that I can't shake, the one that comes back, was on the Tenaru River. I don't remember the exact date, September maybe. A Japanese force tried to cross the river at night. We were dug in on the other side. They came in a wave, hundreds of them, and we fired into the dark. You couldn't see who you were shooting at. You just pointed toward the sound and pulled the trigger and hoped. When morning came, the river was full of bodies, not on the banks, in the water. Dozens of Japanese soldiers lying in the river, the water flowing around them, turning brown. Some of them were face down, some were face up. One was caught on a rock, and the water was flowing over him like he was part of the landscape. Dale said, "Don't look at their faces." I looked anyway. They were young, my age, some younger maybe. Boys in uniforms who had mothers and probably photographs in their pockets and names that somebody somewhere was waiting to hear. I was 15, and I had killed people, and I was standing in a river full of dead boys, and it was 9 o'clock in the morning, and the sun was out, and birds were singing. Dale died in October, a sniper. We were moving through a section of jungle near the airfield, and Dale was 3 steps ahead of me. 3 steps. The shot came from somewhere in the canopy. We never saw the sniper, and Dale went down. I got to him in maybe 4 seconds. He looked at me and he said, "Tommy, don't." And then he stopped. He didn't finish. I've spent 83 years trying to figure out what the next word was. Don't stop. Don't look. Don't forget. Don't be afraid. I'll never know. 3 steps. He was 3 steps ahead of me. If I'd been walking faster, it would have been me. If he'd been walking slower, he'd have grandchildren now.
The most shocking thing is that Dale was 3 steps ahead of you. That's the kind of math that never leaves. The arithmetic of survival that makes no sense and follows no rules. And he never finished that sentence. 83 years of wondering what word was supposed to come next. Now please, can you tell me? What happened when the war ended?
I went home to Alabama. I was 18. I'd been a combat Marine for 3 years, and I was 18 years old, and I went back to my daddy's farm and tried to be a boy again. You can't see what I saw and be a boy again. My daddy knew something was wrong. He was a quiet man, a farmer, didn't say much. But one evening I was sitting on the porch, and he sat down next to me, and he said, "Son, you don't have to carry it alone." And I said, "I'm fine, Daddy." And he just nodded. And we sat there until it got dark. He never brought it up again. That was the way it was in 1945. You came home. You didn't talk about it. You worked. In Alabama, you farmed. You went to church. You raised a family. Nobody asked you about the war, because everybody had been in the war, or knew someone who had, and the whole country had made an unspoken agreement to just move forward. I married Clara in 1950. Sweetest woman God ever made. She was a school teacher, patient in a way I didn't deserve. She'd wake up at night to find me standing by the window, staring at the yard, and she'd put her hand on my back and just stand there. She didn't ask. She just stood there. And that, her hand on my back in the dark, that was the only thing that ever made the jungle quiet. Clara passed in 2019. 69 years. And since she's been gone, the jungle's been loud again. I'm the last one from my squad. Every one of 'em is gone. Dale, Bobby, Frank, Miguel, all of 'em. I'm 99 years old, and I'm the last one. And I have nobody left to say their names to except you. So I'm asking you for something. It's the only thing I want. Remember that war is not a movie. It's not something you watch and feel inspired by and then go eat dinner. It's a 15-year-old boy in a hole in the ground, shaken with malaria, trying to hold a rifle, listening to men die in the dark. That's what it is. And if we don't say that out loud, if we only tell the hero version, then we make it easy for the next generation of 15-year-olds to sign up, because they think it's an adventure. It's not an adventure. It's the end of who you were, and the beginning of something you didn't choose. Dale told me, feel scared later. And I did. I've been feeling scared later for 83 years. The later never ends. It just changes shape. In my 20s, it was nightmares. In my 40s, it was anger I couldn't explain. In my 60s, it was a sadness so heavy I couldn't get out of bed some mornings. And now, at 99, it's just a kind of quiet grief that sits in my chest like a stone. If you have someone in your life who came home from somewhere, and I don't mean just war, I mean anyone who came home from something hard, don't wait for them to talk. They won't. I didn't. Dale told me don't, and he never finished. And I've never finished either. So sit with them. Put your hand on their back. Don't ask questions. just be there. Clara did that for 69 years, and it was the only medicine that ever worked. Dale, I think the word was don't forget. I didn't, brother. I didn't.